on a much more serious issue. Two members of the Bali Nine, who several years ago were convicted of drug smuggling in Indonesia, Andrew Chan and Myuran Sukumaran, facing the death sentence as early as this weekend. Now, there is an appeal for clemency ongoing with the Indonesian Attorney General, but the reality is both these men are likely to be executed together via firing squad. The Indonesians, despite entreaties by the Australian government, have said that there will be no clemency. Pastor Rob Buckingham joins us now. He's from Bayside Church here in Melbourne. He's a friend and a carer to both the men in question. Pastor Buckingham, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tom.
How long have you been back in Australia for?
I arrived about 11:30 last night.
Okay, how would you describe the mental state of both Andrew and Myuran?
Andrew is very positive, very upbeat. Mayu is fairly shocked, I would say, by the recent denial of clemency. But you know, I was talking to both the gentlemen on Wednesday, and they want to continue the work that they're doing inside the prison. So they haven't given up. Put it that way. Did
you know them before they were convicted of smuggling drugs?
No, I wasn't. No, I didn't know them. No.
From what I've read, and I've never met them or spoken with them, they've had not just a change of heart, but a whole change of thinking, of life, of everything. You know, trying to turn their lives around. Do you believe that to be genuine?
Yes, I do.
I mean, as a Christian minister, I assume that you believe in the powers of change and the ability for the rest of us to forgive, but do you think it looks likely that the Indonesian government will think the same way?
Well, at the moment, it doesn't look like it. Our hope, though, is where there is life, there is hope, and I am hoping against hope that the Indonesians will realise that what we actually have here in Andrew and Mayu are two completely rehabilitated young men. Yes, they have done the wrong thing in the past. They've admitted to that. They've apologised. And both of them are doing an incredible job inside Kerobokan, making a difference to a lot of other people.
Okay, I mean, you know, you say they've both admitted they've done the wrong thing, but the Indonesian Attorney General made it very clear. He said 40 to 50 people a day in Indonesia die of drug overdoses.
Yeah.
And it just seems to me that I don't think that attitude's it's going to be extraordinarily hard to shift.
Yes, it will be hard to shift, and I'm not for drug trafficking either. And something very strong needs to be done about drug trafficking. There's a massive problem, not just in Indonesia, but right here in Australia as well. I guess the difference here being what value is there in taking two men like Andrew Chan and Mayu Sukumaran out and shooting them once they have actually been completely rehabilitated.
Do you think they would have been rehabilitated if they hadn't been in jail for several years and weren't facing a death sentence? Do you think they would have changed their lives?
I can't really answer that, I guess, in regard to what may have happened. I think, though, that the arrest and spending time in the prison system in Indonesia has been a very big contributing factor to their rehabilitation.
Do you think the Australian government could have done more to try and have their sentences commuted to, say, life imprisonment?
I would like to see the government right now stand up strong and plead for them. I mean, the Indonesian government recently paid a lot of money, and I'm not suggesting the Australian government pay money, but the Indonesian government just paid money for an Indonesian lady to get off death row in Saudi Arabia. They advocate very strongly for their citizens who are on death row around the world. I'd like to see our government do the same.
Recently, a lot of magistrates here have tried to see the good in people who have gone before them. And in fact, the young jihadist who's been across the news here in Australia, I don't know if you've read anything about him, Suhan Rahman from here in Melbourne, from Roxburgh Park. He was involved in organised crime. And he got a 12-month community service order after a violent crime. And the judge in question, Mark Dean, described the prospects of his rehabilitation as excellent. Well, now he's in Syria preaching jihad. I mean, do you wonder sometimes whether people like the two young men you've been speaking to have genuinely been reformed?
I've known them for a number of years, Tom, and I would be very surprised if I was wrong in my judgment of them. They are in my opinion and in the opinion of many other people who know them, 100% rehabilitated. You can't pretend for that amount of time.
Final question. A lot of people who have rung this radio station, sent me emails, have known people who have been badly affected by drugs, in some cases who have died from drug overdoses. They tend to have very little sympathy for drug smugglers. Are they wrong in thinking that?
I understand where they're coming from. I have very little sympathy for drug smugglers or traffickers myself. I don't think that's the issue right here. I think we need to be tough on drug traffickers. I think that's without dispute. But as I said before, taking two young men, and if I could just quickly maybe mention some of the things that Andrew and Myu were doing. Inside the prison, Andrew has studied counselling and is making a difference to the prisoners in there. He's running cooking and hospitality courses. Myu is doing art. In fact, Ben Quilty is spending the day with Myu tomorrow inside Kerobokan, teaching English. You know, there's so many different things that these guys are doing. I think we need to be tough on drug traffickers, without question, but at the same time, taking two young men like Andrew and Myu out and shooting them has no value whatsoever.
If their executions are confirmed, will you go back there to be with them in their final hours and days?
If I'm allowed to, yes, absolutely.
Pastor Rob Buckingham, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Tom.
Rob Buckingham there from the Bayside Church. Well, he says they've been reformed. I've always thought you should judge people not on what they say they'll do, what they actually do. And it's just very hard to get away from the fact that they did try and smuggle a large quantity of very serious drugs through Indonesian borders. You listen to the Drive program. You can listen live online at 3